The woman they didn't see. On a brisk Monday morning, the downtown branch of Emerson National Bank was alive with activity. The polished marble floors reflected the soft hum of conversation, clicking heels, and the occasional metallic jingle of coins being counted. Customers lined up at the counters, each dressed in business attire, projecting an aura of formality and affluence. Behind the counters, employees moved with rehearsed efficiency, their polished smiles hinting at the expectation of their clientele. Lisa Carter pushed open the heavy glass doors and stepped inside. She was dressed plainly in black jeans, a faded leather jacket, and sneakers. Her hair was pulled back into a simple ponytail, and she carried a worn canvas tote bag slung over one shoulder. Her attire was in stark contrast to the gleaming opulence of the bank, yet her posture was straight, and her gait exuded quiet confidence. As she entered, the air in the room shifted. Conversations quieted ever so slightly, replaced by the faint rustle of heads turning and eyes narrowing in silent appraisal. Lisa could feel the weight of their stares but chose not to acknowledge them. Her gaze swept across the room, taking in the carefully curated atmosphere of wealth and exclusivity. Behind the counters, tellers exchanged quick, knowing glances. Amanda Williams, a senior teller with a sharp tongue and an even sharper bias, nudged her colleague. "Looks like someone wandered into the wrong place," she muttered, loud enough for those nearby to hear. A few chuckles followed, low and conspiratorial. Lisa made her way to the shortest line. As she waited, she observed the interactions around her. A middle-aged man in a tailored suit was greeted warmly by another teller. A woman wearing a designer coat was offered a chair while her transaction was processed. The disparity was glaring but unsurprising. When it was Lisa's turn, she stepped up to the counter where Amanda stood waiting. Amanda's expression shifted subtly, from polite indifference to barely concealed irritation. She eyed Lisa from head to toe, her lips curving into a faint, dismissive smile. "Good morning," Lisa said, her tone polite but firm. Amanda didn't bother to hide her disdain. "Morning," she replied curtly. "How can I help you?" The words were professional, but the condescension in her tone was unmistakable. "I'd like to access some account details," Lisa said calmly. Amanda raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure you're in the right place?" she asked, her voice tinged with mock concern. "This isn't customer service for prepaid cards." A few nearby employees snickered. Lisa remained unfazed. "I'm in the right place," she replied evenly. Amanda leaned forward slightly, her tone growing sharper. "Well, if you're here to open an account, I'll have to let you know that our minimum balance requirements start at $10,000. Do you have an appointment with one of our financial advisors?" Lisa held Amanda's gaze, her expression unreadable. "I don't need an appointment. I need to speak with the branch manager." The request caught Amanda off guard for a moment, but she quickly recovered. "Our manager doesn't meet with walk-ins," she said, her voice dripping with superiority. "You'll have to schedule an appointment, and even then, there's no guarantee you'll be seen." Behind Lisa, a man in line coughed to suppress a laugh. Another whispered, "She's wasting everyone's time." Lisa felt the heat of judgmental eyes on her back but remained composed. "That's fine," she said. "But I'll be back tomorrow. And when I come, I expect a proper introduction." Amanda smirked, clearly amused. "Tomorrow, then," she said, her tone dismissive. "Let's hope you dress appropriately next time." Lisa didn't dignify the comment with a response. Instead, she nodded, turned, and walked out of the bank. The murmurs and chuckles followed her to the door. Once outside, Lisa inhaled deeply, letting the cool air fill her lungs. Her calm exterior had remained intact, but beneath it was a steely resolve. She reached into her tote bag, pulled out her phone, and dialed a number. It rang twice before a crisp voice answered. "Good morning, this is David Sanders, CEO of Emerson National Bank." "David," Lisa said, her voice warm but firm. "It's Lisa Carter." I just left the downtown branch. Lisa. David exclaimed. How's your first day visiting the branches? I hope everything's running smoothly. Lisa smiled faintly. Let's just say there's room for improvement. I need a meeting with the entire branch staff tomorrow morning. Can you arrange that? David hesitated. Of course. Is something wrong? Let's just say the culture could use a little adjustment, Lisa replied, her tone light but meaningful. I'll handle it. Just make sure everyone's there. You've got it, David said. Anything else? No, Lisa said. I'll take it from here. After hanging up, Lisa looked up at the bank's imposing facade. The building, with its towering columns and shimmering glass, was a symbol of prestige and power. But Lisa wasn't here to admire it. She was here to change it. As she walked away, her phone buzzed with a text. It was from her assistant, Samantha. Samantha, are you ready for tomorrow's unveiling? It's going to be a big day. Lisa's fingers hovered over the screen for a moment before typing back. Lisa, more than ready. Tomorrow, the staff at Emerson National Bank's downtown branch would learn a lesson they wouldn't soon forget. And Amanda, in particular, would realize that appearances can be deceiving, and that respect should never be reserved for those who look the part. Lisa didn't need their approval or validation. She had earned her position through years of hard work and resilience. Now, it was time to ensure that everyone else at the bank learned to see beyond the surface. A morning of reckoning. The following morning, Emerson National Bank's downtown branch opened its doors as usual. Employees bustled about, preparing for another day of business as the scent of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air. However, a subtle tension loomed, a shift from the routine that most couldn't quite pinpoint. Amanda Williams, the senior teller, arrived with her usual air of superiority. She had shared her encounter with Lisa the previous day, turning it into a tale of amusement for her coworkers during their morning coffee break. And then she said, "I'll be back tomorrow," like she owns the place. Amanda quipped, earning laughter from the group. She basked in the attention, entirely unaware of the irony of her words. At precisely 9:15 a.m., a sleek black car pulled up to the curb outside the bank. The driver stepped out and opened the rear door, revealing Lisa Carter, now dressed in a sharp navy blue pantsuit and low heels. She radiated authority and purpose as she strode toward the entrance, her presence commanding attention before she even set foot inside. Lisa wasn't alone. Accompanying her was David Sanders, the CEO of Emerson National Bank. David, a tall man with salt and pepper hair and an affable demeanor, walked slightly behind her, his body language indicating deference. Employees who recognized him immediately straightened their posture, whispering among themselves. As Lisa entered the bank, the atmosphere shifted once again. This time, there was no judgmental laughter or condescending remarks, just an almost tangible sense of unease. Amanda, busy chatting with a colleague, didn't notice at first. David cleared his throat, and the sound carried through the large lobby like a ripple in still water. The employees turned to look, their expressions ranging from confusion to nervous anticipation. "Good morning, everyone," David began, his voice warm yet authoritative. "Before we begin our day, I'd like to introduce someone very important to the future of Emerson National Bank." Amanda's smile faltered as her eyes locked onto Lisa. Recognition dawned slowly, followed by a flush of embarrassment that spread from her cheeks to her neck. Her colleagues, who had joined in mocking Lisa the previous day, shifted uncomfortably. David gestured to Lisa. "This is Lisa Carter, the new president of this branch. She's here to observe, lead, and, most importantly, ensure that we're upholding the standards of professionalism and respect that this bank stands for." Lisa stepped forward, her expression composed but unyielding. She surveyed the room, making deliberate eye contact with each employee, including Amanda. The silence was deafening. "Thank you, David," Lisa said, her voice calm but resonant. Good morning, everyone. I've had the privilege of working in various capacities within this bank over the last 15 years, and I've seen firsthand the incredible potential of our team when we work together with integrity and respect. She paused, letting her words sink in. However, my visit yesterday revealed something troubling. It's clear that there are some deep-seated issues here, issues that cannot be ignored. Amanda's throat tightened. She glanced at her colleagues, hoping for support, but found none. The room had turned cold, and everyone seemed acutely aware of their own discomfort. Lisa continued, her tone measured. Yesterday, I walked into this branch as any other customer might. I wasn't greeted with courtesy or professionalism. Instead, I was met with assumptions, condescension, and outright disrespect. Not just from one person but from multiple members of this team. She let the words hang in the air, her gaze unwavering. I want to make something clear, this is not just a personal grievance. This is about the culture we foster here. Every customer who walks through those doors, regardless of their appearance or background, deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. Anything less is unacceptable. David nodded approvingly, his arms crossed as he surveyed the room. The employees, including Amanda, avoided his gaze. Lisa turned her attention directly to Amanda. "Ms. Williams," she said, her voice firm but not unkind, "I'd like you to share your perspective on yesterday's interaction. Perhaps there's something I missed." Amanda's mouth opened and closed, her usual sharp wit failing her. She stammered, I didn't know who you were. I thought. You thought I was someone who didn't belong," Lisa finished for her, her tone even. "And because of that assumption, you treated me, what's the word, like a burden." Amanda flushed deeply. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean any harm." "I appreciate your apology," Lisa said. "But apologies without action are meaningless. Tell me, Amanda, how do you plan to ensure this doesn't happen again?" The question hung in the air, weighted with expectation. Amanda hesitated, her mind racing. I'll treat every customer with the respect they deserve," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "Good," Lisa replied, her tone softening slightly. "Because that's not just your job, it's the foundation of trust between us and the community we serve." Lisa turned to address the entire staff. "This is not about singling anyone out. This is about accountability. Each of you has a responsibility to uphold the values of this institution. If we fail in that, we fail the very people who entrust us with their hard-earned money." She took a step closer to the group, her voice growing more impassioned. "I'm not here to reprimand or humiliate. I'm here to build a team that reflects the best of what we can be. But make no mistake, there will be changes." David stepped forward again, his expression serious. "As Lisa said, this is about moving forward. There will be mandatory training sessions on customer service and implicit bias starting next week. Attendance is non-negotiable." The employees murmured among themselves, their expressions a mix of apprehension and acknowledgement. Amanda, still reeling, remained silent. Lisa glanced at her watch. "Now, let's get to work. I'll be observing the day-to-day operations closely. If you have any questions or concerns, my door is always open." With that, the meeting concluded, and the employees dispersed, each wearing a thoughtful expression. Amanda lingered, feeling a mix of shame and determination. As Lisa approached her, Amanda straightened her posture, bracing herself. "Ms. Carter," Amanda began, her voice tentative, I want to do better. I know I was wrong." Lisa studied her for a moment before nodding. "That's a good start, Amanda. Prove it, not to me, but to every customer who comes through those doors." As the day unfolded, Lisa moved through the branch, observing interactions, answering questions, and quietly setting an example. The employees, initially wary, began to see her not as a threat but as a leader who genuinely cared about fostering a better environment. By the end of the day, the atmosphere had shifted. The employees worked with a renewed sense of purpose, and Amanda, humbled and reflective, found herself striving to meet the standards Lisa had set. As Lisa left the branch that evening, the same polished marble floors reflected not just her footsteps but the beginning of a cultural transformation, one that would ripple far beyond those walls. The ripples begin. The next morning, the employees of Emerson National Bank's downtown branch arrived with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Lisa Carter's unexpected presence the previous day had left an undeniable mark. Conversations around the water cooler were hushed, tinged with speculation and, for some, a flicker of guilt. The usual atmosphere of casual banter and subdued smugness had given way to something more introspective. Amanda Williams, once the undisputed queen of the teller line, sat at her desk earlier than usual. She was still reeling from her encounter with Lisa. Her usual bravado had been replaced by an uncharacteristic quietness as she reviewed her notes on customer service protocols. The sharp words and judgmental laughter that had come so easily before were now replaced with self-doubt. Lisa arrived promptly at 8:45 a.m., dressed in another sharp suit, this time paired with understated pearl earrings. Her demeanor was calm but commanding, and as she walked through the lobby, employees straightened their postures. She greeted each person she passed with a warm but professional smile, her presence a quiet reminder of the changes that had already begun. The first hour of the day passed smoothly. Lisa had set up a temporary office in the corner of the branch, her door open to encourage interaction. She observed from a distance, noting subtle improvements in how employees addressed customers. Amanda, in particular, was making a noticeable effort to greet each person warmly, though her voice occasionally betrayed her lingering nervousness. Around mid-morning, a young woman with a toddler on her hip entered the bank. She wore a modest outfit and carried a large diaper bag that appeared well used. She hesitated near the entrance, scanning the room uncertainly. Amanda noticed her immediately. A week ago, Amanda might have made a sarcastic comment or dismissed the woman as another inconvenience. But today, something was different. She stood up and smiled. "Good morning, ma'am. How can I assist you today?" The woman seemed surprised but stepped forward. I need to cash a check," she said hesitantly, pulling a folded slip of paper from her pocket. Amanda accepted the check and glanced at it. "Of course," she said, her tone professional but kind. "Do you have an account with us?" The woman shook her head. "No, but my employer wrote it from this bank. I can't go anywhere else to cash it." Amanda nodded and began processing the check without hesitation. As she worked, Lisa observed from her office, her lips curving into a faint smile. Progress, she thought. When the transaction was complete, Amanda handed the cash to the woman along with a few tips about opening an account. The woman's face lit up with gratitude, and she left the bank with her toddler in tow, her shoulders noticeably lighter. After the woman left, Amanda glanced toward Lisa's office, as if seeking approval. Lisa gave her a small nod, and Amanda felt a wave of relief. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Later that afternoon, Lisa called a meeting with the senior staff in the conference room. The team gathered around the long oak table, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. David Sanders had joined the meeting as well, sitting beside Lisa with an air of quiet support. "Thank you all for joining me," Lisa began, her tone warm but firm. "I've spent the last 2 days observing how this branch operates. While I've seen some positive changes, there are still areas that require significant improvement." She paused, letting her words sink in. This isn't just about yesterday's incident. It's about creating an environment where every customer feels valued and respected. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens through intention, training, and accountability. One of the senior tellers, a man named Greg, raised his hand. "Ms. Carter," he began cautiously, "I think most of us want to do better, but we're not always sure how. What do you suggest?" Lisa appreciated his candor. That's a fair question, Greg. The first step is self-awareness. Recognize the biases you bring into your interactions and challenge them. Second, remember that your role here isn't just about transactions. It's about relationships. People trust us with their money, their livelihoods. We owe them professionalism and respect. David spoke up, adding weight to Lisa's words. To that end, we're implementing mandatory customer service and diversity training for all staff, starting next week. These sessions are designed to help you develop the skills you need to succeed, not just here but in any professional setting. There were murmurs of acknowledgement around the table. Some employees looked relieved, while others seemed less enthusiastic. Lisa noticed Amanda sitting quietly at the end of the table, her expression thoughtful. I also want to hear from you, Lisa continued. What do you think we can do to make this branch a better place, for both employees and customers? A younger employee named Jasmine hesitated before speaking. I think it would help if we had clearer guidelines on how to handle difficult situations. Sometimes, we're not sure how to respond, and that uncertainty makes things worse. Lisa nodded. That's an excellent point, Jasmine. We'll work on developing a comprehensive guide for handling challenging interactions. In the meantime, remember that kindness and empathy go a long way. The discussion continued for another 30 minutes, with employees offering suggestions and voicing concerns. By the end of the meeting, there was a palpable sense of cautious optimism in the room. As the day wound down, Lisa made a point of personally thanking each employee before leaving. She stopped by Amanda's desk last. Amanda, Lisa said, her tone kind but firm. You made a real effort today, and I noticed. Keep it up. Amanda looked up, her cheeks flushing slightly. Thank you, Ms. Carter. I'm trying. Lisa smiled. That's all I ask. As Lisa left the bank, she felt a sense of accomplishment. The changes she envisioned wouldn't happen overnight, but they had begun. And as she walked down the bustling city street, she knew she was building something far greater than a better branch. She was building a legacy of respect and integrity. What Lisa didn't yet realize was that her leadership was sparking conversations far beyond the walls of the downtown branch. Customers who had witnessed her calm authority were sharing their stories, and word of her transformative leadership was beginning to spread. The ripples she had set in motion were growing, and the impact would be far-reaching. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but Lisa was ready. She had faced adversity before and emerged stronger. This time would be no different. With every step forward, she was proving that change was not only possible, it was inevitable. Breaking the chain. By the time the morning rush hour settled, Emerson National Bank's downtown branch was humming with quiet efficiency. Lisa Carter sat in her temporary office, the soft light from a desk lamp illuminating a growing stack of notes. Over the past few days, she'd meticulously documented her observations, patterns of behavior, areas of concern, and moments of promise. But today, she was ready to do more than observe. She was ready to act. At 10 a.m. sharp, Lisa called Amanda Williams into her office. Amanda entered hesitantly, clutching a small notepad, her once unshakable confidence now tempered by humility. You wanted to see me, Ms. Carter? Amanda asked, her voice subdued. Lisa gestured to the chair across from her. Yes, Amanda. Please, have a seat. Amanda sat, her posture stiff. Lisa observed her for a moment, then leaned forward slightly, her tone gentle but firm. I've been watching your interactions closely over the past few days. I've seen improvement, and I appreciate the effort you've put in. But I want to talk about where we go from here. Amanda nodded, her hands gripping the notepad tightly. I know I've made mistakes, she admitted. I'm not proud of how I acted before. I want to do better. That's a good start, Lisa said. But improvement isn't just about avoiding past mistakes. It's about breaking the chain of habits and assumptions that led to them. Tell me, Amanda, why do you think you reacted the way you did when I walked into the bank on Monday? Amanda hesitated, her cheeks flushing. I made assumptions, she said finally. I looked at how you were dressed and I judged you. I didn't think about how it might feel on the other side of the counter. Lisa nodded. That kind of self-reflection is important. But understanding isn't enough. We need action. Change starts with recognizing our biases and actively working to dismantle them. And that's what I'm here to help you with. Amanda looked down at her notepad, scribbling nervously. I want to change, she said softly. I really do. Lisa leaned back, her expression thoughtful. I believe you, Amanda. And I want you to succeed, not just here, but in any role you take on. That's why I'm assigning you to lead a new initiative. Amanda's eyes widened. Me? Led? Yes, Lisa said, her tone encouraging. You're going to spearhead a customer experience improvement program for this branch. It'll involve training sessions, team-building exercises, and direct feedback from our customers. I want you to take ownership of this. Amanda looked overwhelmed but nodded slowly. I'll do my best. Lisa smiled. That's all I ask. And remember, I'm here to support you. You're not in this alone. By noon, news of Amanda's new role had spread throughout the branch. Reactions were mixed, some employees were surprised, others skeptical. Amanda herself felt a whirlwind of emotions, nervousness, determination, and a flicker of pride. She spent her lunch break outlining ideas for the program, determined to prove herself. Meanwhile, Lisa turned her attention to another pressing matter, fostering a sense of teamwork among the staff. While the branch was functioning efficiently on the surface, there was an underlying tension that needed addressing. Too many employees worked in silos, focusing solely on their individual tasks without considering the bigger picture. Lisa decided to host an impromptu meeting with the entire staff that afternoon. She sent out a quick email, asking everyone to gather in the conference room at 3 p.m. The subject line was simple but intriguing: building bridges. When the employees filed into the room, they found Lisa standing at the head of the table with a large whiteboard behind her. On the board, she had written 3 questions in bold letters. What does respect look like? How do we build trust? What kind of workplace do we want to create? What kind of workplace do we want to create? Lisa waited until everyone was seated before speaking. Thank you all for joining me, she began. I called this meeting because I believe we have an opportunity to build something extraordinary here. But to do that, we need to start with the basics: respect, trust, and a shared vision. She pointed to the first question. Let's start with respect. What does it mean to you, and how do we show it, not just to our customers, but to each other? The room was silent for a moment. Then Jasmine, the young teller, raised her hand. I think respect means listening, she said. Really listening, without interrupting or making assumptions. Lisa nodded. That's a great point. Listening is foundational. What else? Greg, the senior teller, spoke next. I think it's about valuing people's time. Whether it's a customer or a coworker, we should all feel like our time is respected. Excellent, Lisa said. Now let's talk about trust. How do we build it? This question sparked a more animated discussion. Employees shared ideas about transparency, accountability, and consistency. Lisa encouraged them to think about specific actions they could take to embody these principles. Finally, Lisa turned to the last question. What kind of workplace do we want to create? Imagine walking into this branch 5 years from now. What do you see? What do you feel? Jasmine spoke up again. I want it to feel welcoming, she said. Like a place where anyone can walk in and feel comfortable, no matter who they are. Greg added, and I want us to feel like a real team. Like we're all working toward the same goal, not just doing our own thing. Lisa smiled. Those are powerful visions. And the good news is, we can start building that workplace right now. It won't happen overnight, but every step we take brings us closer. She handed out index cards to each employee. Before we end this meeting, I want each of you to write down one action you'll take this week to contribute to the culture we want to create. It can be something small, holding the door open for a customer, complimenting a coworker's effort, anything. The point is to take intentional steps. As the employees wrote their commitments, Lisa felt a sense of hope. The room was filled with quiet determination, a stark contrast to the skepticism she had encountered on her first day. By the end of the day, the mood in the branch had shifted. Employees were interacting more openly, sharing ideas and supporting one another. Amanda, though still nervous, began reaching out to her colleagues for input on the customer experience program. For the first time in years, the branch felt like a team. As Lisa prepared to leave, she received an email from a customer who had visited earlier in the day. The subject line read, "Thank you for the change." Lisa opened the email and read, "Dear Ms. Carter, I've been a customer at this branch for over 10 years, and I've seen my share of ups and downs. Today, I noticed something different. The staff were kinder, more attentive. It felt like they actually cared. I don't know what you've done, but please keep doing it. This is the kind of bank I want to be a part of. Sincerely, Margaret T." Lisa closed the email with a smile. Change was happening, not just within the branch but in the hearts of the people it served. And this was only the beginning. The chain of old habits was breaking, one link at a time. The turning point. By the time Friday morning arrived, the downtown branch of Emerson National Bank had settled into a cautious rhythm. The transformative energy Lisa Carter had brought with her was palpable but fragile, like a seedling just beginning to sprout. Employees were making visible efforts to embody the principles Lisa had outlined earlier in the week, but the lingering tension of old habits and biases remained. Amanda Williams, once the most confident and vocal employee, was finding her footing in her new role as the leader of the Customer Experience Improvement Program. Over the past few days, she had thrown herself into the task, seeking input from colleagues and researching best practices. Despite her determination, doubts gnawed at her. Was she truly capable of change, or was she doomed to remain the person Lisa had exposed on her first day? At 9:30 a.m., Lisa called Amanda into her office for a progress update. Amanda arrived with a folder filled with notes and ideas, her expression a mix of nervousness and pride. "Good morning, Amanda," Lisa greeted her with a warm smile. "How's the program coming along?" Amanda set the folder on the desk and opened it. "I've outlined a few key initiatives," she began. "First, I want to implement a feedback system where customers can anonymously share their experiences with us. That way, we can identify specific areas for improvement." Lisa nodded. "That's an excellent idea. What else?" "I also think we need to focus on team building," Amanda continued. "There's still some tension among the staff, and I believe that if we work on strengthening our relationships, it will reflect in how we treat our customers." Lisa leaned back in her chair, her expression thoughtful. "You've put a lot of thought into this, Amanda. I'm impressed. But let me ask you something, how do you plan to lead these initiatives?" Amanda hesitated. I guess I'll encourage everyone to participate and set an example myself." "That's a good start," Lisa said. "But leadership is more than just setting an example. It's about inspiring trust and creating an environment where people feel empowered to contribute. Do you feel ready to take on that responsibility?" Amanda's eyes flickered with uncertainty, but she straightened her posture. "I think I'm ready. I want to be ready." Lisa smiled. "That's all I needed to hear. Let's move forward with these initiatives. I'll support you every step of the way." As the morning progressed, Lisa decided to step out onto the teller floor to observe the team in action. The lobby was bustling with customers, a mix of regulars and newcomers drawn in by the bank's reputation. Lisa noticed subtle changes in the staff's behavior, genuine smiles, patient explanations, and an overall atmosphere of attentiveness. One particular interaction caught her eye. A young man in a hoodie approached the counter, his head down and his hands stuffed into his pockets. Jasmine, the youngest teller, greeted him with a bright smile. "Good morning. How can I help you today?" she asked. The man glanced up, his expression wary. "I need to cash this," he said, sliding a crumpled check across the counter. Jasmine examined the check and asked for his ID. As she processed the transaction, she struck up a conversation. "How's your day going so far?" The man hesitated before answering. "It's okay, I guess." Jasmine smiled warmly. "Well, I hope it gets even better after this. Let me know if there's anything else I can help you with." When the transaction was complete, the man muttered a quiet "thanks" before leaving. Lisa watched as Jasmine's smile lingered, her genuine kindness a stark contrast to the dismissive attitudes that had previously dominated the branch. Lisa approached Jasmine afterward. "That was excellent customer service," she said. "You made him feel comfortable and valued." Jasmine beamed. "Thank you, Ms. Carter. I'm trying to follow your lead." Lisa's heart swelled with pride. These were the moments that validated her efforts, the small but meaningful interactions that built trust and goodwill. Later that afternoon, Lisa hosted another staff meeting. This time, the mood was lighter, the tension from earlier in the week replaced by a sense of camaraderie. Lisa stood at the front of the room, her presence commanding but approachable. "First, I want to thank all of you for the progress you've made this week," she began. "I've seen real change, not just in how you interact with our customers, but in how you treat each other. That's the foundation of everything we're building here." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But this is just the beginning. The real test is consistency. Change isn't a one-time effort, it's a daily commitment. So, I want to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned this week that you'll carry forward?" Jasmine raised her hand. "I've learned the power of small gestures," she said. "A smile, a kind word, it really makes a difference." Greg spoke next. "I've realized the importance of teamwork. When we support each other, it's easier to support our customers." Even Amanda chimed in, her voice steady. "I've learned that it's okay to admit when you're wrong. It's how we grow." Lisa nodded, her smile widening. "Those are all valuable lessons. And they're exactly what we need to keep moving forward." As the meeting ended, Lisa felt a renewed sense of hope. The branch was beginning to transform, not just in its operations but in its culture. The staff was no longer a collection of individuals working in silos, they were becoming a team, united by a shared vision. By the end of the day, Lisa sat alone in her office, reflecting on the week's events. She thought about the challenges she had faced, the resistance, the skepticism, the deeply ingrained habits that had taken years to form. And yet, here they were, on the cusp of something extraordinary. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock on the door. "Come in," she said. Amanda stepped inside, holding a small envelope. "I wanted to give you this," she said, handing it to Lisa. Lisa opened the envelope and found a handwritten note. "Ms. Carter. Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. This week has been a wake-up call, and I'm determined to keep growing. I know I still have a lot to learn, but I promise I won't let you down. Amanda." Lisa looked up, her eyes softening. "Thank you, Amanda. This means a lot." As Amanda left, Lisa leaned back in her chair, the note still in her hand. She had come to this branch with a mission to change its culture, but in the process, she was reminded of something profound: leadership wasn't just about guiding others. It was about empowering them to find their own strength. And that was the real turning point. Not just for the branch, but for everyone in it. A legacy begins The Monday morning sunlight filtered through the tall windows of Emerson National Bank's downtown branch, casting long shadows across the polished marble floors. It had been 1 week since Lisa Carter had walked into the branch as an unassuming customer and unveiled a culture steeped in bias and complacency. Today, the atmosphere in the bank was unrecognizable. Lisa arrived early, as always, to prepare for the day. She had spent the weekend reflecting on the journey so far, poring over customer feedback, employee progress, and the steps that still needed to be taken. Her commitment to transformation was unwavering. As she stood in her office, sipping coffee and reviewing her notes, a knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. "Come in," Lisa said, looking up. Amanda stepped in, holding a clipboard and wearing a resolute expression. She had traded her usual sharp-edged confidence for a softer but more determined demeanor. "Ms. Carter, I've finalized the outline for the Customer Experience Improvement Program. I'd like to review it with you." Lisa motioned for Amanda to sit. As Amanda laid out her plans, Lisa listened intently. The program was comprehensive, with steps to improve everything from customer greetings to complaint resolution. Amanda had even included a section on internal accountability, encouraging employees to hold each other to higher standards. "This is excellent work, Amanda," Lisa said when Amanda finished. "You've thought of everything." Amanda smiled, a genuine smile that hadn't been seen on her face in years. "Thank you, Ms. Carter. I couldn't have done it without your guidance." Lisa leaned forward. "Remember, Amanda, leadership isn't about perfection. It's about learning, growing, and inspiring others to do the same. You've shown everyone here what that looks like." At 10 a.m., Lisa gathered the entire staff in the conference room for the launch of the Customer Experience Program. The room buzzed with anticipation as Amanda stood at the front, ready to present her plan. Lisa sat to the side, a quiet but encouraging presence. "Thank you all for being here," Amanda began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "This program isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about building something better. Something we can all be proud of." As Amanda walked the team through the program, she emphasized collaboration and accountability. She introduced a new feedback system where customers could rate their experiences and suggested monthly meetings to review the results and celebrate progress. She also proposed a mentorship system, pairing seasoned employees with newer staff to foster a sense of teamwork. When Amanda finished, the room erupted into applause. It wasn't just polite clapping, it was genuine support, a sign of the camaraderie that had begun to take root under Lisa's leadership. Lisa stood and addressed the team. "Amanda's plan is a perfect example of what can happen when we commit to change. But remember, the success of this program depends on each of you. Change doesn't happen because of one person, it happens because of all of us, working together." The employees nodded, their faces filled with determination. Lisa felt a swell of pride. This was the team she had envisioned, a group of individuals united by a common purpose. That afternoon, Lisa returned to her office to find a stack of notes waiting for her. They were from customers who had visited the branch over the past week. She flipped through them, reading each one carefully. "The staff here are so much friendlier than they used to be. It's a pleasure to come in now. Thank you for treating me with respect. It means more than you know. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. This is the best this bank has ever been." Lisa smiled as she read the notes. Each one was a testament to the hard work and dedication of her team. But one note, in particular, caught her attention. "Ms. Carter. I was here last Monday when you first walked in. I saw how the staff treated you, and I saw how you handled it, with grace, strength, and determination. Watching you transform this branch has been nothing short of inspiring. You've shown us all what true leadership looks like. Sincerely. A grateful customer." Lisa set the note down, her heart full. This was why she had taken on this role, not for recognition, but to make a difference. By the end of the day, the changes in the branch were undeniable. The employees worked together seamlessly, supporting one another and treating every customer with genuine respect. Amanda, once the most divisive figure in the branch, had become a leader in every sense of the word, earning the trust and admiration of her colleagues. As Lisa prepared to leave, she noticed Amanda standing near the entrance, watching her. Lisa walked over, and Amanda extended a hand. "Thank you, Miss Carter," Amanda said. "For everything. You didn't just change this branch, you changed me." Lisa shook her hand, her smile warm. "The credit goes to you, Amanda. You had the courage to grow, and that's what makes a true leader." As Lisa stepped outside, the evening air was crisp and refreshing. She looked up at the towering facade of the bank, its gleaming windows reflecting the vibrant city around it. This building, once a symbol of exclusivity and arrogance, had become a place of inclusion and trust, a place where everyone, from customers to employees, felt valued. Lisa's phone buzzed with a text from David Sanders, the CEO of Emerson National Bank. "David, Lisa, I've been hearing incredible things about the downtown branch. You've exceeded all my expectations. Let's talk about expanding your approach to other branches. The whole company could use your leadership." Lisa smiled, typing a quick response. "Lisa, thank you, David. I'd love to discuss it. This is just the beginning." As she walked down the street, Lisa felt a sense of fulfillment unlike anything she had ever experienced. She had come to the downtown branch with a vision, and now that vision was a reality. But more importantly, she had empowered others to carry that vision forward. This wasn't just about fixing one branch. It was about creating a legacy, one built on respect, trust, and the belief that everyone, no matter their background or appearance, deserved to be seen, heard, and valued. Lisa Carter knew the journey was far from over. But as she walked into the vibrant city night, she was ready for whatever came next. The seeds of change had been planted, and their roots were growing deep. A new chapter had begun, not just for Emerson National Bank, but for everyone it touched.